Jim Jones just went off on Tony Yayo. And when I say off, I mean full meltdown mode right in front of cameras. The madness went down during Memphis Bleek's podcast, and it turned the whole studio into a war zone. What makes it even crazier, Memphis Bleek doesn't even rock with Yayo like that. The tension was thick before they even hit record. So what made Jim lose it like that? What pushed him to snap in front of everybody? Let's break it down, because this story got layers. Memphis Bleek, that's Jay-Z's right hand forever. Family ties, no debate about it. But Tony Yayo, he's been tossing shade Hobbs' way for years, and fans been clocking every shot. Yayo been holding on to that grudge ever since he claimed Jay tried to block 50 Cent from the Super Bowl halftime show. He said it with his chest too, and ever since that, Yayo been moving with this heavy chip on his shoulder like he's got something to prove against Jay's whole camp. So when Yayo pulled up on Shannon Sharpe's show, he didn't hold back, not even a little. He straight up called Jay-Z a hater, saying he never helps nobody and only looks out for himself. Then Yayo took a personal swing that broke the internet in half. He said, "Look at Memphis Bleek. He not shining, he not winning. Jay-Z don't take care of him like 50 takes care of me." That line alone set social media on fire. But let's be real, bragging about who takes care of you, that's not boss energy. Real ones build their own plates. They don't beg for scraps off another man's table. When Yayo said 50 feeds me more than Jay feeds Bleek, fans weren't feeling it. Hip-hop been about independence, about standing tall on your own name. And that comment, it hit wrong. When Bleek heard all that, the vibe instantly shifted. He might not have said much on camera, but the energy said it loud. And that's when Jim Jones lit the fuse. Jim took the convo and turned it into a full-blown firestorm. See, Yayo's always been raw, loud, and unfiltered. That say what I want attitude made him famous. But now that same energy got him locked in another storm, this time with Jim Jones himself. And the wild part? This beef's not even new. It's got history written all over it. If you remember the G-Unit versus Dipset days, then you know exactly how wild things used to get. We're talking mid-2000s chaos, 50 Cent, Cameron, Jim Jones, full-on diss tracks, crews clashing, egos on overload. The streets were split back then. Everybody thought that chapter was done, buried deep. But with Yayo's new shots and Jim's fiery response, boom, that old war just got reignited. You'd think after all these years, both sides would chill, right? Nope. Tony Yayo and Jim Jones are trading smoke again, and this time it feels personal. Tony Yayo took things to a whole different level when he sat down with Math Hoffa on My Expert Opinion. Nobody saw this coming, not even the streets. He dropped one of the coldest accusations in recent hip-hop memory, and it instantly flipped the internet upside down. Yayo said something that made everybody's jaw drop. He looked straight into the camera and said, "Jim Jones left stack bundles behind in the hood to die. No sugarcoating, no hesitation, just raw pain and emotion spilling out his mouth." He said, "The difference between me and other dudes? Stack Bundles, one of my favorite rappers ever. Rest in peace. Jim Jones had Stack, had Max B. I looked at it like, man, that could have been greatness." You could feel the heartbreak in his tone, like he was reliving that loss right there in real time. Then Yayo broke it all the way down. Stack's name was buzzing heavy in New York. The kid was about to blow. But even with that fame rising, he was still in the same hood, surrounded by the same danger that took him too soon. And that's where Yayo drew the line, and between how 50 Cent moved and how Jim Jones handled his crew. Yayo said, "No disrespect to Jim, but Fifth had me in Battery Park. I could walk out barefoot, grab socks, whatever I needed. That's love." That line hit like a bullet. He wasn't just bigging up 50, he was showing what real protection, real leadership looks like. He added another wild story. Said his block got shot up, cars bent, chaos everywhere. And still, 50 made sure he was good. That's the kind of loyalty that makes legends. Yayo painted 50 like the ultimate big brother, a boss who shields his team, not just feeds them. Then came the line that tore through hip-hop hearts everywhere. Stack got killed in the projects with a Porsche. The silence after that hit different. A young king gone too soon, still trapped in the same environment he was trying to escape, while his label head lived far away from the danger. The internet exploded instantly. Some fans said Yayo was just keeping it real, exposing the dark truth about loyalty in this game. Others said he went too far, that he shouldn't use a man's death to throw shots. But no matter what side you stood on, one thing was clear. Yayo shook the table. He wasn't gossiping. He was calling out what he saw as failure. To him, Jim Jones didn't protect Stack bundles like a leader should have. It was a deep cut. Loyalty, brotherhood, and betrayal all tangled up in one painful memory. That moment showed the dark side of hip-hop, how chasing fame doesn't always save you from the streets. And Yayo's words reopened old wounds nobody was ready to relive. For those who don't know who Stack Bundles was, let's paint the picture, because this man was special. Stack was one of Jim Jones' day ones, a real one from far Rockaway, Queens, who had the look, the bars, and that effortless swagger that made people say, yeah, he's next up. You could see the star power just by the way he moved. Jim Jones saw that too. He took Stack under his wing, brought him into the Dipset world, and gave him the spotlight. The kid had everything lined up. The cosign, the momentum, the hunger. Stack was supposed to be the next big name out of New York, no question. But here's where the story turns heavy. Even with all that talent and opportunity, Stack never really left the hood. He stayed close to his block, surrounded by danger and temptation. And that's exactly where tragedy struck. His life was cut short right in the same streets he came from. People have been whispering for years that maybe, just maybe, if Jim had pulled him out sooner, things could have gone different. It's one of those painful what-ifs hip-hop never forgets. But to be fair, others say it ain't that simple. The hood's grip is strong, and sometimes no amount of money or fame can pull someone away from where their heart belongs. Stack loved his people, his block, his roots. That loyalty ran deep. That's what made him real, but also what made his story so tragic. His loss still echoes through hip-hop today. Every time the culture talks about loyalty, brotherhood, or leadership, Stack Bundles' name always comes up. He's become a symbol, the reminder that love for your hood can be both your pride and your downfall. So when Tony Yayo brought Stack's name into this current beef, it hit hard, like a wound being ripped open again. Fans were torn down the middle. Some said Yayo was speaking truth, exposing the reality that not every boss protects his team the same way. Others said it was pure disrespect, using a man's death to score clout. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, the internet started running wild with rumors. People began accusing Jim Jones of stealing Stack's whole style, his slang, his flow, his look, saying Jim took the sauce and left the chef behind. That's when things turned ugly. Jim's name got dragged through every comment section. But through all that noise, he stood firm. He said he always looked out for Stack, gave him money, brought him on tour, and begged him to leave the block behind. But Stack stayed true to his home, and that broke Jim in ways only real ones could understand. If you've ever seen Jim talk about Stack Bundles in interviews, you can see the pain in his eyes. His tone drops, his energy changes. It's still raw, still heavy. No matter what people say online, one thing's clear. Stack wasn't just an artist to him, that was family. And that's why when Tony Yayo used Stack's name as ammo, it didn't feel like rap talk to Jim, it felt personal. That pain turned into rage, and the minute Yayo's name came up again during Memphis Bleek's podcast, Jim lost it on camera. The volcano erupted live for the world to see. When Jim Jones sat down with Memphis Bleek, it was supposed to be a chill interview, some laughs, old stories, and real talk about the game. But the second Tony Yayo's name came up, the vibe shifted instantly. You could feel the tension jump through the screen like static electricity. Bleek tried to keep the mood balanced, cracking small jokes, but Jim's whole energy changed. His eyes locked in, his tone dropped, and you could see the storm building in real time. Then, boom, Jim snapped right there on the mic, raw emotion pouring out with no filter. He said straight up that his whole team eats good, that nobody around him is starving. He made it crystal clear. This talk about who's getting taken care of is clown behavior. Ain't nobody feeding me. I built this myself, he shouted chest out, voice booming through the mic. That wasn't just talk. That was pride and pain colliding in front of everyone. The energy in that room flipped from chill to deadly serious in seconds. That Dipset fire that made Jim a Harlem legend came roaring back full force. Everyone in the studio went quiet because they could feel it. This wasn't for the cameras. This was real. Jim wasn't defending money. He was defending respect. He was standing up for Stack Bundles' name, for his legacy, for his own story. The way his voice cracked, the way he leaned in on every word, it was deeper than beef. It was heartbreak turned into anger. Fans online said you could literally feel Harlem pride dripping from every word Jim said. He wasn't just another rapper talking tough. He was a man carrying years of loyalty, pain, and memories people keep trying to twist. And when he said, Stop comparing who feeds who. This ain't daycare, this is hustle. The whole room froze. It wasn't just a shot at Yayo anymore. It was a message to the culture. Jim was done with the lazy comparisons and internet rumors. He wanted everyone to know his empire was built brick by brick, not off another man's plate. But here's the twist. Yayo never even said Jim was broke. He said Jim was good. His point was that success should reflect on the whole crew. That if you shining, your people should be shining too. But Jim didn't hear it like that. The pride, the history, the pain, it all mixed together until it felt like a direct insult. If Jim had caught the real meaning, it could have been a grown man convo about leadership and loyalty. But emotions took over and Harlem pride hit the gas pedal. You could see it in Jim's face, that don't play with me energy. He felt disrespected, and once that line was crossed, there was no going back. Then Jim flipped the whole conversation. He fired right back, accusing Yayo of never building his own shine, always standing in 50 Cent's shadow. He said Yayo been moving like a sidekick instead of a boss. The air in the room got heavy. You could almost hear people stop breathing. It was that real. Bleak tried to break the ice with a laugh, but it was too late. Jim was deep in it now, heated, passionate, and speaking from the gut. This wasn't about music anymore. It was about legacy, loyalty, and the weight of being misunderstood. That's when it hit everyone watching. This wasn't just old school drama coming back. This was a man finally letting years of frustration loose on camera. Jim wasn't gonna let anybody rewrite his story or question the love he had for his people ever again. After Jim Jones went off during that podcast, you'd think Tony Yayo would come back swinging with another interview, right? Maybe a diss, maybe some wild rant. Nope. Yayo went for something even colder and way more powerful. Instead of dropping bars or throwing shots online, Yayo posted one single picture on Instagram, a photo of Max B, Jim's longtime rival. No caption, no emojis, nothing, just that image sitting there, loud without a word, and that one move, it was like tossing gasoline on a fire that was already raging. Within minutes, the internet exploded. Screenshots flying across timelines, blogs picking it up, hip-hop pages flooding with comments. Everyone knew exactly what Yayo meant without him saying a thing. See, Max B's name is deeply personal for Jim Jones. Their history runs long and painful. Once brothers in music, they fell out hard. And it's a wound that still stings to this day. So for Yayo to post Max B's picture at that exact moment, that was chess, not checkers. Fans went crazy. Half the internet called Yayo petty for dragging old wounds into a new fight. The other half called him a genius, saying he played it cool while Jim lost his temper. Either way, that one picture split hip-hop right down the middle. Jim's supporters came out strong. Capo forever, flooded the comments. They said Jim's always stood tall, built his brand, fed his team, and earned every win he's got. But Yayo's crew clapped back just as hard. They said he exposed the truth, that Jim's been fronting on loyalty for years and can't stand the mirror being held up. That one silent post hit harder than a diss track. It was slick, it was ruthless, and it was perfectly timed. You could almost feel the tension shift, like we were watching round 2 of G-Unit versus Dipset all over again. And of course, Jim wasn't about to let that slide. The moment Max B's name got dragged into the mix, the gloves came off completely. Jim fired back on live, pacing back and forth, his voice rising with every word. "Don't play with me," he shouted, eyes burning with that Harlem fire. You could see it. This wasn't for clout. This was personal. Jim accused Yayo of chasing relevance, said he only brings up his name to stay talked about. His frustration was written all over him, because once the internet grabbed that narrative, it was out of his hands and the story spread like wildfire. The whole thing started feeling like a time machine back to the early 2000s. Dipset versus G-Unit round 2. Fans were picking sides like it was a street war. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds, threads full of old clips, memes, and throwback footage. Even OGs from both camps jumped in, posting cryptic captions and old pictures like they were ready to relive the past. It wasn't just rap beef anymore, it was hip-hop history repeating itself right before our eyes. Two veterans from legendary crews reigniting one of the wildest rivalries the culture's ever seen. But deep down, this wasn't just entertainment. Yayo's move hit something real. Pride, loyalty, and ego clashing in plain sight. The lines between respect and disrespect blurred fast, and everybody watching knew it wasn't over yet. The second that Max B photo hit the web, the whole hip-hop world lost its mind. Every feed, every comment section, every post. It was chaos. It felt like the early 2000s all over again, like Dipset and G-Unit had just hit the reset button on one of the most iconic beefs in rap history. Fans started picking sides fast. Team Jim or Team Yayo. Timelines split right down the middle. Old heads dropped throwback clips from Rap City. New fans made memes comparing interviews. And suddenly, two legends were back in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. Jim wasn't backing down 1 inch. He went live again, flexing his lifestyle. Cars, ice, designer fits, letting everyone know he's still the Harlem boss. "Ain't nobody around me starving," he said with that same energy that built Dipset from the ground up. He reminded the world that he's been putting people on for decades, from Bird Gang to the Lobby Boys, and he's not about to let anyone twist his story. Meanwhile, Tony Yayo kept it slick and silent. No rants, no shouting, just that cold-blooded internet play. He dropped laughing emojis, sneaky captions, and a few old clips of 50 Cent talking about loyalty. It was like he was saying, this is what real brotherhood looks like, and that subtle shade cut deep because everyone knows the bond between 50 and Yayo is legendary. Under all the noise, something real was brewing. Ego, pride, and pain clashing in full view of the culture. Jim's fighting to protect his legacy, to prove he's a boss who built from the mud. Yayo standing firm, saying he's living by the code, not just talking it. This ain't just rap beef anymore. It's about who's really solid and who's just talking tough for the cameras. Then social media took it to a whole new level. Memes everywhere, side-by-side comparisons of Jim's live verses, Yayo's posts, fans analyzing body language like it was a heavyweight title fight. Even DJ Academics jumped in, calling it the most entertaining old school beef we've seen in years. And he wasn't lying. It's got everything: history, betrayal, loyalty, pride, and heartbreak. What makes this wild is that deep inside Yayo's message, there's truth. He wasn't just throwing shots, he was challenging the culture, saying, if you rich and your crew still broke, something's wrong. That hit fans hard because that's a conversation hip-hop rarely wants to have. Still, Jim stood tall, doubling down on his name, his brand, his respect. He said his people were solid, his pockets deep, and his loyalty unshakable. The man wanted the world to stop playing with his name once and for all. Now the culture's holding its breath, waiting to see what happens next. Will they keep it on wax, drop some classic diss tracks, and let the bars talk? Or is this fire about to jump off the mic and spill back into the streets? Whatever happens, one thing's for sure. The world's watching every move like it's a headline event. This spark between G-Unit and Dipset might just become one of the craziest clashes hip-hop's seen in years. No matter what side you're on, get ready, because this story's still heating up. Thanks for riding with Starbuzz Daily till the end. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And we'll catch you on the next drop. It's only getting crazier from here.